You're obviously not an American. We love to not think. But you know, I used to do a show called Politically Incorrect back in the 90s, and the 90s, we remember them. And so I was always asked, what is your definition of political correctness? And I had to come up with one. I said, it's the elevation of sensitivity over truth, which seems like what it still is, except it's worse than ever.
It's more like the elevation of moral posturing about sensitivity over truth. It's even worse.
Yeah. So where did it come from? How did we get to this place where we're so fragile? The safe space people.
Oh, I think that you can pretty much blame it on the universities. I think that they've pursued, especially in the humanities and in the social sciences as well, they've pursued a policy of a radical leftist policy with an overlay of postmodernism, which kind of a literary criticism approach that's produced all of this. As far as I can tell, I think you can lay a lot of it at the feet of faculties like the faculties of education. There was an article in the Chronicle of Higher Education this week that just devastated the faculties of education, taking them to task for low academic standards and for possession by ideology and for basically indoctrinating people in a cult-like manner and playing identity politics and group identity.
And no free speech.
In this hard-hitting segment, Jordan Peterson and Bill Maher take direct aim at the dogma of political correctness, tearing into its obsession with emotional sensitivity as an enemy of truth. They argue that the modern urge to tiptoe around discomfort is strangling honest dialogue and gutting intellectual honesty. Peterson goes in, accusing universities as essentially the humanities and social sciences of turning into echo chambers fueled by postmodern ideology. Alongside Maher, he warns that this environment is suffocating free speech and crushing the kind of unfiltered discussions society desperately needs. The twist: Maher's crowd includes many of the very people Peterson is criticizing. Sparks fly, minds are challenged, and the result is a clash worth watching.
This crowd likes it, but it's nasty, and they're considering suspending her. And here's what the president of the university said. He said this was beyond free speech. This was disrespectful. Have we lost the thread back to knowing what free speech is? Yes, it can be disrespectful. That is covered under free speech. President of Fresno, you idiot. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, and you see this too. I think where it's manifesting itself in a particularly appalling manner is in the increasing unwillingness of comedians, for example, to go on university campuses to be funny.
In this heated exchange, Peterson and Maher don't hold back when defending free speech. They challenge the idea that speech has to be inoffensive to be acceptable, insisting that real freedom includes the potential to offend. They're not pushing for people to go out of their way to provoke, but they are saying offense is part of the deal. When discomfort is treated like a crime, we lose what makes speech powerful. They also bust a popular myth: the First Amendment doesn't protect you from backlash or disagreement, it protects you from government silencing. Big difference. Then they turn to the cultural shift happening in schools, where emotional safety is now valued more than hard truths. They argue that ideas aren't dangerous just because they make people uneasy. And treating them like they are leads to a society where nobody says what really needs to be said. Their bottom line: free speech isn't about being polite, it's about being honest even when it stings.
There's also this idea that's promoted by the people who are protecting those who are easily offended, that the way to make people secure is to protect them from things that they don't want to encounter. And
Right.
There isn't a clinician, like I'm a trained clinical psychologist, and there isn't a clinician in the country who's worth his or her salt that would ever make that claim. Because you don't make people, first of all, it's hard to make people safe because life is seriously not safe.
Yes.
And the way that you make people resilient is by exposing them to things that they're afraid of and that make them uncomfortable voluntarily, but you use exposure.
Right.
And And so, like, if you over coddle people, if you protect them from everything that's sharp, you make them dull and stupid and narcissistic, and it's a really bad idea.
So you do know America.
Peterson points out that so-called safe spaces, designed to protect people from uncomfortable thoughts, may actually be doing more damage than good. His view is that growth doesn't come from comfort, but from challenge. He says that shielding ourselves from offense isn't strength, it's weakness. And in his words, this constant protection makes people dull, unthinking, and self-absorbed. Tough words, but his warning goes beyond the personal. When society avoids discomfort, it loses its ability to face reality. If we can't handle tough ideas, how will we deal with tough problems? His advice: stop avoiding what makes you uncomfortable. That's where real strength and growth begin.
One thing I love, I mean, your book is fantastic. One of the rules that I really love is you say, don't let your kids do anything that would make you not like them. That's what I've been thinking for years. When I call them the fuck you mom generation. When I see kids, never in life because I never go near a child, but like on TV and movies, I see kids like saying fuck you mom. And
Yeah.
I'm like, if somebody who wasn't your child did that, you'd be immensely offended, whereas the parents just take it. What's up with that?
Well, people don't like to admit that they can dislike their children or children in general. And
right. Right. No, I know what you mean.
but they can.
No, they totally can.
One of the things you see very commonly as a clinical psychologist is family members who hate each other, and who it's like they have their hands around each other's necks for 20 years and are squeezing very slowly, trying to strangle each other. And you see parents who clearly detest their children and have ever since they were born. And part of that, I know it's a terrible way of looking at things, but it's true.
It's so true.
And one of the things,
No, parents confide that in me because I don't have kids.
yeah, well,
He makes one major point clear: raise your kids to be likable, not spoiled, not entitled, but likable. Why? Because if kids grow up with no boundaries, they'll run into rejection from classmates, teachers, and eventually the world. And that kind of rejection can spiral into deeper issues. Peterson critiques a popular parenting trend being afraid to discipline for fear of stifling creativity, but he argues the opposite. Without structure, kids aren't free, they're lost. They need limits, self-control, and a sense of social responsibility. These things aren't about control, they're about preparing them to succeed in life. Parenting means setting boundaries, teaching values, and sometimes saying no. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.
I think that they've pursued, especially in the humanities and in the social sciences as well, they've pursued a policy of a radical leftist policy with an overlay of